Yes, many thank you. Thank you for your presentation. I enjoyed reading your paper, and I just wanted to highlight one aspect that I like particularly, which is the fact that the description you make of being a child. I think it is also a way of saying that being human is being a child. Humanity is filiation. And I think this resonates very well with some ideas of Professor Donati in his own paper. So I think this is a very interesting approach. And furthermore, the idea that being human is being a child also has an implication for the issue of identity, insofar as the search for one's identity is the search for one's father, the search for the father. And I think this is also a very important issue a very important topic in our culture. In the literature of the last century, the search for the father, even in the cinema, has been a constant. And perhaps we should incorporate some cultural ideas in this direction, because it complements very well the sociological aspects of our reflection. There is an intense search for the father, and you can see that in literature, in cinema, and a lot of cultural productions. Thank you.
Yes, I agree a lot with this consideration, because I think first of all, I think the filiation is the more democratic aspect of the life, because all of us, we are children. And to be child is to be a gift obtained by the encounter with between mother and father. In this society, the motherhood is very stressed. Affective aspect, protection aspect, the answer to the needs, very important aspect for the human identity, but not only, not sufficient for the identity, because for the identities it's important also the normative aspect, the sense of limit that the father can obtain in the relationship. So I think in this society in which there are we use the term matrifocalità, the focus on the matter. It needs a lot to realize another aspect of paternity, of the normative and the awareness of the limit for the human identity.
Thank you very, very much for your talk and sharing your thoughts in particular. I have a question on empirical examples that children do worse, that they have problems in forming their identity, that they suffer emotional sort of instability or something like this. Because in Germany, yeah, so what happens, I mean, you are talking about identity formation of children, given those new developments towards choice and the rights for children. And I can't, at least the literature I know, does not show any empirical sort of results or manifestations of this. So those children do as well as other children do. And it does not seem to be the case that they are emotionally more unstable or that they have problems with their identification or so on. So I would like to sort of know your thoughts on this.
Yes, if I understand, I'm sorry for my English, but my listening is not. Yeah, okay. I think there are a lot of data about the situation of children now that are show the difficulty of the children to respond to the expectation of the parents that choose to have a child. And for example, the problem of self-esteem. The data show a lot of this problem, in particular in the children that are the unique child in the family. And I think that the difficult, the emotive and behavioral difficulty of the children are linked to the high emotional concentration that parents invest in these children, and they causes a lot of problem to respond to these expectations.
Well, let me say that it's a pleasure to be here with this very rich debate at the Academy. It's my first participation as a new member. I'd like to bring the dimension of indigenous peoples that is quite distinct from the reality of the European picture or even the global picture that Gerard so nicely presented to us. And when Gerard was making his presentation, I was wondering whether you've been able to separate the different demographic dynamics of indigenous peoples in remote areas, because it's quite different. If we take the case of the Amazon, what happens in the indigenous peoples' territories is quite different from what happens in the rest of the Amazon countries, not only Brazil, but the other areas. In some places, the demography of these regions has profound consequences to global challenges. For example, climate change. The future of climate change requires conservation of tropical forests such as the Amazon, and that has linkages with family issues and also with the demographic dynamics of what is happening there. For example, as populations increase, there is great pressure on biodiversity because there's more hunting. And as populations increase, there are new demands that also have pressure on deforestation and greenhouse gas emissions. And Raffaella, when you presented the demography and the challenges very nicely, congratulations, in many dimensions. My question to you is, have you also had a chance of studying the differences between sort of Western type of family conflicts with those of indigenous peoples, not only to understand the differences, but also exploring potential lessons to be learned? I was very impressed in many occasions to see how indigenous villages share the responsibility of raising children in a very different way. And it seems more harmonic. The concept of buen vivir, which is a sort of a Latin American construct, I think could be very helpful in illuminating this debate. Thank you.
If it's possible to translate the question, because I didn't understand. In Italian, please. Español.
Ha tenido la oportunidad de analizar en profundidad el tema de la dinámica de las familias en las poblaciones indígenas de áreas como en la Amazonía, donde se comparte más las responsabilidades, no es solamente los padres, pero también la comunidad como un todo. Así que hay cosas que se puede aprender desde ahí para acá, como el concepto de buen vivir, que es un concepto latinoamericano muy interesante que puede ser de alguna manera útil. Sì, bueno.
Cioè il tema del, se posso dire in italiano?
Quello che accade in Occidente, in Europa, dove il bambino in genere è allevato dalla famiglia rispetto alle popolazioni, per esempio, indigene, sudamericane, brasiliane, in cui è la comunità che si prende cura di tutti i bambini. Insomma, ci vuole un villaggio per allevare un bambino.
Certo. Sì, sì. Sì, in Africa. Vuole un villaggio. Perfetto. Certo, certo. Sì, sì.
Chiede se tu ti vuoi mettere a studiare anche queste differenze.
Io poi magari cerco di tradurre. Effettivamente non ho finito il mio discorso, che era soprattutto sul tema della generatività che si sperimenta in family context, ma si estende anche nel community context, because we can, possiamo sperimentare la generatività in the family, ma la possiamo tradurre nella società, perché si impara in famiglia a generare quello che poi si può generare anche socialmente. Per cui mettere al centro il concetto di generatività significa connettere famiglia e comunità. E questa è una lezione che dobbiamo imparare dalle popolazioni, per esempio, africane o sudamericane, perché in Occidente c'è una privatizzazione della famiglia, una visione molto autocentrata della famiglia che non tiene conto del fatto che l'aprirsi all'altro che si sperimenta nella famiglia è lo stesso meccanismo che poi consente di arricchire la società, che consente di generare socialmente. Ed è per questo che mettere al centro il concetto di generatività e non di riproduzione riesce proprio ad agganciarsi a questo concetto sociale che in questo senso l'Occidente dovrebbe ben imparare da altre popolazioni. Scusate, ma non riuscivo a spiegarlo meglio se non in italiano.